Hi everybody, it's Nana Marie in Quebec City. I hope everybody's hanging in there okay. My voice is a little low right now. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good. Um, I'm getting my appetite back and able to take almost normal foods. Almost, you know. Today I had some ingredients. I had a chicken in my freezer for like a year, and I thought I could sure use a good homemade chicken stock, which I've had no energy to make, or even appetite to eat anything savory like that. So I had this chicken today, and I thought, I'm going to make it. And I did. I was able to pull together a nice sized pot of chicken stock, full of nutrients. So I imagine that my health will continue to improve. And that's what I do. I imagine a lot. I fantasize, imagine, think. And I drop thoughts that don't serve me, because I know that everything learned here is not serving me at all. It's serving the prison. Like, I'm going to show you something. I did this meme. On the left and the right brain. And if you can see, the right brain we are all born with. Boys and girls, infants, are all with the right brain. And then our imaginations are to create the left brain, which there's no left brain. It's empty. That's why it's all soft up there. So, but what we've built is somebody's hijacked the imagination, and we've built a prison in ego. It's all about money and order and artificial intelligence. It's artificial intelligence, which is fine, but it's the end goal in artificial intelligence is to replace the right brain, and that is typically where women like to sit and dwell, in their creative imagination. And I can just imagine the kind of world we'd have if women knew how powerful their creative imaginations really are. It took me, guys, I'm not going to lie, it took me a long time to believe my own story. It really did. I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. But I know the experiences that happened, right? They were real. And then I look back and I know my journey, that was real. And then I look at dates and deaths and reincarnation possibilities, and then I look at the possibility of everybody being in the history books, and I know you are. I know you are. There's ways you can figure it out. I don't have memories of my past lives. We're not the left brain, the prison that we build here. That prison, it dies before we get reborn here. We don't have any memory of it. Anybody who tells you they do, they're just making stuff up probably. Or they're getting guidance from a spiritual guide and imagining it, because you can't come with the old imagination. So I don't remember those past lives. But when I think about Jesus, and the spirit of Jesus and his intention, which was never to be your Lord, it was to stop the worship of idol lords entirely. So it's the opposite. He was never to be your Lord. And I also knew that it was about not fearing, because we don't die. nobody dies. Um, uh, and Judge not. He who hasn't sinned, throw the first stone. This one's big. This was huge for me. I could really do some judging. But honestly, you don't know why people do what they do. And I know that some people in my life did some really bad things. But they did it because they had to, as part of my story. It may sound bizarre, and same with my contract with my mother. Like, she was evil towards me. And people who are raised in trauma will agree with me here that they're super hyper more aware of their surroundings. And they may, they notice the slightest thing that's a little bit off and, start to question things. But we get into a bad habit of judging, and we're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong when you judge. We've been projecting. And also the other part of my story is I had other help besides spiritual help, or looking back at my story, or my dreams, or the visit with the beings of light to string together that Jesus and King James and Elvis Presley were of the same spirit. That, okay, I could go along with that because it kind of makes sense, like in the big picture of the universe. If we're going to do a story, if we're going to create a simulation, that would be a freaking good one, where Jesus, King James, and Elvis were all, the same spirit. But then I thought, well, how the frick do I fit in, or Trevor fit in? I knew. I just couldn't see it. Like, no way. But then I looked at, what? Then I'm forgetting that Jesus said we're all of the same Christ flame. And yes, indeed, my son had a heart of gold. He got into trouble only because I sent him off for other people to raise while I went to work in my high heels. Trying to look like the men in drag on TV, and keeping up with the image. And, no matter how much I tried to lose weight, after having a child, it's not that easy. And then you got to have abs nowadays. Abs. Women. If you're not the same as a man, you're just not desirable. And so they've programmed the brain to what is desirable and what is not desirable. And they're constantly hypnotizing you on TV on who's the enemy and who's the hero. And they'll tell you who to send money to, too, all the time. And we do it. Because we are worshiping outside of ourselves and not being like Jesus, not being like, a table turner, like not hating evil. Like, why don't you hate evil anymore? Because you got used to it, and people, I think people are ashamed. I do. I think people are ashamed. And I think also that anybody who has a little bit of shame is okay. You should forgive yourself immediately. You're not going to give a shit about anybody else's story at the end. It's only your story now. Really. You can't carry other people's stories with you. And that's the biggest lesson for me too. It's only about my story, and I know my story can help people, and I'm a teacher at heart, a life skills teacher, a survival skills teacher, and a soul recovery teacher now. It's all about you gotta first deprogram your own brain. How do you do that? You change your patterns, you change your thinking, and before I do that, I wanted to say things popped up on my computer too, where I didn't know where it came from. Like, come on. And so it's part of the validation. I had to believe in my story for it to really manifest and unfold in reality for me. You know, I couldn't put the pieces together, the dots, the path, and nothing worked until I began not only believing in what was happening to me, but believing in my own thoughts. And so this came into my Google Photos. I did not put that. I couldn't make that shit up. I don't know what that was. Can you see it all? I gotta pull this down. It's too heavy. But at the very bottom it says Colton understands. By the way, my real birth name, I was born Cheryl Ann Grosclose. And Colton is my brother who took on the name Colton later. And he moved to California. He was living in California. I don't know what he was doing, but his father molested me. I don't know my little brother anymore. You know, they all turned wicked after my mother crossed. But he moved down to California, and he died last August suddenly. And it's just funny that it says on this, Colton understands. I bet he does. I bet he's in the midst of being reincarnated now into his family thread. Because that's how it works. We're the ancestors of the past. And I know that it's hard to believe, but you've been around. And if you keep your mind open a little bit, and learn how to drop thoughts that don't serve you, you know, thoughts that you learned from the left brain, if it's hard on you, if it's hard on someone else, you don't have to feel from those thoughts. You can drop those thoughts. When I first had my experience that blew this can of worms wide open in 2016, I did go into PTSD, and that is a state of mind where you just cannot articulate fuck all. You cannot. I had the universe in me. You can't say, and you appear to be a nut bar, and I did. I knew I could see myself, and losing friends, and they're kind of looking at you weird, but there was nothing I could do except just work through it until finally, in 2018, I went homeless and abandoned by everybody. So here I was going across Canada on a Greyhound bus and ended up in a Montreal park and got some craft supplies. And things were coming out of me through finger painting later, but first this kind of art, which is what I started with. And that's what I did. This is what I did. Do you see that? It looks like, you know, those religions are getting in the way. I don't know what that top one even means. And then we got, but the Christian Jesus and then Muhammad. And there's me with my little pink hair I had at the time, coming out of the stars. And the card I pulled, because I had these cards at the same time, spiritual cards, you know, you pull cards, and you use your intuition with that too, ladies. And you trust yourself. But I pulled that card and it said, I can change my patterns when I change my mind about them. And that's absolutely true. My whole life has changed. I would be a total miserable old cow if I was not able to control my own imagination, use my own imagination to work for me. And to me, there's only one rule in the simulation, to pick a role that you would be proud to take home and watch later. right? Like, let's say I'm all wrong. Let's say I am that crazy old bitch. Let's say I just should have been kicked to the curb, and that's it, because I supported a pedophile, right? Like, so I deserve everything. But, oh, and I made up lies about other pedophiles. So let's say that's true. Big fat liar. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if this story with Jesus and Mary, King James and Mary, Elvis Presley and Gladys Love, and Trevor and Cheryl Ann, girls' clothes, in this world, uh, it, 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 it's, it's, it's only about the intention. And you know what they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Don't you see how opposite this pattern is? Like, no, the road to heaven is paved with good intentions. And that's the truth. And heaven is in the heart, if you must know. It's making yourself feel good. And nobody makes themselves feel good doing the dirty behind the scenes, in hide and secret. Nobody feels good. And keeping secrets or holding back feelings that need to be expressed, or keeping feelings that need to be let go, right? Like, that just, what, like, is this helping your story at all? Like, what are you doing? It's your story. It's not your abuser or your victim. It's your story. And it's just a matter of what part you want to play, and do you want your road to be of good intention. And that's all you need. It's really freaking easy. Now the world is, in a chaos because people have believed in these television, idols, and allowed this media kind of horror show to continue. And you believe in what you're seeing in the Black Mirror, and without questioning it. I've seen it over and over again. People are getting things all wrong. You don't dig deeper. I was always accused by my ex of reading into things, or reading into him, analyzing things, because I thought he was a sodomite pedophile after my son. Crazy bitch. So I would quiz him on certain things, and he really get upset about that. Well, only liars get upset if you're reading into things. And women, it is a gift, unless you're shut down like I was, and told, no, you're seeing things. No, you're imagining things. No, he didn't do that. And you're raised with this constant gaslighting of your reality. And that's what they'll do. They'll people that need victims will, they'll put the whole world against you. And it'll work. It'll work. But it's up to each of us to know that our own story is the only story that matters. That everything else is hypnosis. Even my story. Walking into any other story than what you feel, right? I feel, therefore I am. Your feelings are eternal energy. Your feelings are eternal energy of love. You're not going to carry that left brain prison with you. But if you keep living it out here, we're never going to create, paradise here. It's the little things I want you to appreciate, like making a chicken stock or having family over, baking bread, um, making music, playing music, dancing. It's creating an energy of joy in your own heart. And it will only be done with little things. You're not going to get that with money. You're not going to get that with your next new soulmate. it, it, it's got to come from in you. And then you don't need the outside influences, and you can be really happy, even when the odds look horrible. You know, even in this matrix, things are shifting and changing, and they need to. We need to have a big cleaning out. Okay, I better stop. Give me a like or a comment. Comments also help my algorithm. You know, I don't get views because I speak the real truth. Alex Jones, he's alternative media for the same end. Whoops. He's alternative media for the same end. You know, it's just to keep people hypnotized watching them. You know, it's quite narcissistic in all honesty. You know why I'm not showing my face? I feel it's narcissistic. Because I don't know if you guys are aware of this who are watching, but the people in podcasts that are looking at the camera are looking at themselves. Like, I can't hardly do that. I can't do that. I can't look at myself like that. It's intuitively, I can't do it. So there's got to be something to my sensitivity to that subject, since there's something to everything I've basically said. But I really don't think it's healthy to, you know, put yourself out there to be judged. And to believe you me, people do that. They'll make a decision based on one thing, and then everything shuts down when you make a judgment. Everything. You can't get any more intelligence out of that person, because you've made your mind up. You've closed a channel, and that brain is really getting small. It's getting very small. Guys, I want to say something, but it's offensive to me in my heart, but I'm willing to put it into my story, even though to this world it would be absolutely, no, don't say that, you'd say. But yeah, I'm going to say that. First of all, every infant born, no matter what color, is the flame of Christ. They have the flame in their pupil, that beam in their, it doesn't matter what color they are. Okay, so I'm going to say that. It's the environment that we're growing up in. But wait. I was looking at my world map in the other room, and I noticed that the very southern hemispheres, where we have the blackest of black people that I've ever seen. Like, I'm talking about in Africa, but I'm also talking about Australia, because the original peoples in Australia, do you ever watch that movie Charlie? You know, look at that Australian movie Charlie guy. It's black, like that, almost ash. In Australia, that's who they were. That on that continent, they call it. And then over in Africa, the southern tip of it was taken over by Europeans, yes. You know, and things were starting to get a little browner around there, and same with the upper northern I was up in northern Africa as part of my journey. I walked where Moses supposedly walked. I went to the Red Sea. I couldn't see how he could part that. No, I almost drowned in the sea. Snorkeling. Um, I didn't realize at the time, it was 2008, I had COPD, so I didn't realize that at the time. But yeah, I was there. And each step that I have taken has been to be able to relay back to you, um, how I'm putting these pieces of the puzzle together, because it's a world story, not just in my story, because I know you know these names in history. You know them as much as I know them. You know all those names. And so that's why I can share this with you, and that's what my whole freaking role has been about anyway. And I've always been called kind of bossy, um, but by everybody. Yeah, I was very militant. I don't know if you know the Myers-Briggs program well, it was based upon Carl Jung, but Isabel Myers-Briggs and her daughter there invented this personality test, and I'm sure you've heard of it because it's so famous and boxed in like a freaking boxes you in. But you can get hung up on that, because for example, when I did my first exam, the only reason why I did it was because I was going to take the course so that I'd be able to give the test to clients. Like I was going to be a testing administrator. But before I could be a testing administrator, they wanted to know what my type was. So I did the test, and it was ESTJ, extrovert. Now you're either an extrovert or an introvert. No, I was getting my energy from outside sources. That's an extrovert. S is senses. That's true. I've always loved my senses. I trust my senses over in N, which is it's not intuition, it's invention, creation of ideas from the root, whereas others with the senses, ES, is something else. It's you want to work with actual color, something to start with. T is for thinking, and that really blew my mind because I didn't think I was a thinker at all. I thought I was a feeler. But my test was skewed, and the same with the last one too. P or J, and it's perceiving or judgment. And I was J, but because I never left anything open. And that's how that whole program works. So it sort of complements what Jesus said too, in the fact that J, it closes the discussion, and like they make immediate, quick decisions for going to a restaurant, for example, whereas the guy with the P will sit there and freaking try and figure out for hours which restaurant to go to because he can't make up his mind. So it's kind of fun, but yeah, I was built for this program that I'm walking right now, and I just if anybody is suffering at all because of other people in your life, that's someplace to start, because I know how it feels to be so worried about a child or a parent. I know exactly how it feels, but reconnecting with yourself and your own feelings will help you realize that everybody has the same opportunity at one time or another. And that's why I find it easy. Like, there's no forgiveness necessary. Everybody's going to get there at some point in a different level of consciousness. And then they'll begin manifesting things that are more heart related, you know, paradise like, and not prison like. We can do that with only with a mass consciousness of love, right? So I'm trying to, in my own small way, maybe I'm all wrong about everything, as I said, but at least that's my intention. That's what I want. You know, I want the ripple effect of, giving people a break, no matter what. If they're willing to come clean, let them come clean. If they're not, they're not. Then they're in their own world, right? And that shouldn't bog you down, what other people are doing, because it'll bog you down. No, you got to find ways to make we dwell in the state our heart is in. And to come back into a fresh new, I know what I was talking about earlier. I want to go back to what I was talking about, those dark black race. Then the Amazon on the East Coast, and the Amazon there, real black race, right? And then I looked up further, and the further up we went, I could see it was going more brown. And then at the top, very top, it's white. Russia and Norway, Scandinavia. Now, North America was brown, before what we know, right? It's brown. Because according to our history books, we came in 1600s or 1500s and, occupied it. So here we are, but it was brown. So we're, I don't know who I'm talking to, but, I grew up with white people. And like the first black person I ever met was in grade 10. One black guy. I came from British Columbia, Canada, and it just, in 1960s, no, it wasn't common. But Asian people started to come, and East Indian people started to come, more than the black race. But I just want to say that I think I can fairly say this. I'm proud to be white. And I couldn't say that before because it would be kind of racist. But no, like, I want to stay white. I really do. My dad said something when he got out of prison in 19. He got out of prison several times, but this time he got out of the penitentiary, the New Westminster Penitentiary, where there were black people. It was British Columbia. And he didn't grow up around black people either. He came, he was born in Saskatchewan, and the family moved to North Vancouver, so there's no black people. But he was in prison there. I'll never forget what he said to me, and I want everybody to forgive me if this is wrong. I don't know. I really don't know. But he said, "Oh, Cheryl, there's something about Negroes." He said they just don't smell right. And he was up close with these people. And I can believe it because I can see that it's a different tribe than mine. They're not from my tribe. Or, this is the other alternative thought I have. That first one is that open borders and moving people around is creating, a black slave race. because you mingle. I know my brother who died last August, he was married to an Indian woman. His 3 children were Indian. They live on an Indian reserve as we speak. So when he gets reborn, he will be on an Indian reserve with one of his children. Or grandchildren, I don't know when he'll come. But that's how it works. I already think my mother was born there. You can choose the thread that you're going to be born into. I do know that. I know I chose my mother, and I have a strong feeling that she would have chosen David's daughters as a mother, because they were very close in life. It's her favorite granddaughter. She even had her working with her, and very close. So, and I saw a picture of this baby born to an Indian girl, and she was blonde. So I thought, hey, wonder if mother's reborn. Because we all are, guys. Jesus wasn't about resurrection. It was all about reincarnation. And that book was taken out. I'm sure it's called the Book of Thomas. I'm sure it is. And we're all doubting Thomases about everything right now, and I don't blame you. But you don't have to count on anybody except yourself. The other was about consciousness. The first one was the open borders, but I also have a feeling that maybe our own dark consciousness can be creating a dark skin. There's something about it. There is something about it. And there's something about redheads, too, that I believe started all of the religions, including Judaism. And this DNA of the redheads has gotten around, let me just say. It kind of removes empathy. And I know as a small child, one of the flashes and visions I had was of this guy with red hair and wire glasses. And it wasn't my stepfather, although he did have red hair and glasses, but no, it wasn't him. It was just this thing of beware red hair. That's what I had as a child. What are you going to do, beat me up? But I trust myself now, and even if I'm wrong, which I'm open to, at least when you open yourself up by expression, you're expanding your own consciousness, and more ideas will come. That's how the right brain works. It's infinite, where in wisdom, whereas the left brain is only as good as the the people inputting the data. And right now it's Hollywood, it's education, it's religion. It's out of control. And I don't know who I'm reaching. I really don't know, if anybody. But I'm doing myself a favor. And my intention is to save the world. I actually said that in the very beginning. I couldn't get it out in PTSD. And it sounds crazy, but that's the truth. Save the world by opening up the channel to love again and reprogramming the brain, to work for you and to create what you want, not what you don't want. And that's all we're doing here. We're creating what we don't want. And if you're going to sit around and fantasize, at least, create what you want and believe in yourself. And if you're wondering if there's any guides around you and thoughts pop up and whatnot, believe. Learn how to believe in yourself above all others. Thanks, everybody. Give me a like if you like it.